Hello, my eating peace friends. Whew. Sorry for being just a little wee tad late. 10 a.m. Friday here. Quite a few of you, why am I even saying this? Quite a few of you are not on Facebook. and the videos we're having a tricky time downloading the videos so that other people can see them. But I really did want to come in. What I think I'm actually going to do, everyone, is go live inside the more general group. It isn't specifically only for our members of the Eating Peace community that's actively underway. It's the other group, just Eating Peace, dissolving thoughts, that just has general people from all over, because they're out there too. And probably eager and interested in some of the same, very, very same questions you all as members have. If anybody sees anything off about that, let me know. But that was my thought, is to go there or do something different, maybe on YouTube instead if Facebook isn't the place. But here, meanwhile, it's Friday. And we've done some powerful inquiry on some of the rules and laws, and I call it the food religion. I really like calling it all the food religion because it's been like a religion, right? Something we repeat, like we have our mantras. You do this, thou shalt not do this, and thou shalt do this. And I chuckle, but it's very strong. And May had some beautiful things to share there about that, like just watching, what a dessert is, which I love that word, deserving, in dessert. Do I deserve it? Do I not deserve it? And the measurement the mind wants to do about whether or not it's deserving, the body's deserving. And just how difficult that can be as we open up to the rules and wondering, and the mind likes rules, or this balance, in a way, a search for balance around having an idea or a thought or something we're following, stress-free or stressful. So I like thinking about the rules of red light, green light. Like we all know, everyone just seems to agree with them. There are some complaints. The light turns red and we're out in traffic and somebody doesn't go, like they're looking at their phone for a second, and there's a little hoopla or a little burst of something. Somebody's driving too slow, somebody's driving too fast, but just with respect to just red light, green light, which we have an exercise in the current module called red light eater, green light eater. The one saying go, the one saying stop. But looking at just the simple mechanics of traffic and traffic lights, I don't know the history, but I'm sure there's a written history of traffic mechanics building that, having red lights and green lights be invented because of the need to keep people safe, right? And it's just sort of agreed upon that there's no other way that could happen, basically, except for there's roads where there aren't any traffic lights. It's just where there's a lot of intense congestion. We make red lights and green lights, like you take a turn and then I'll take a turn. You take a turn and then I'll take a turn. And how we know is everyone knows at the same time what's happening, which is a different experience than eating, because we don't, we're just in our unique bodies when we're doing food and eating, and you need to follow the simple directions of your hunger. So there are directions to follow, I find. They aren't the directions that perhaps we've had in our minds that say, I absolutely must be thin. I need to get thinner ASAP. This is what's allowed. Like the time, I thought that was fascinating with the recent inquiry people did around what time you're allowed to eat. I was like, oh, that's so fascinating. It's a particular one I've heard, but I don't think I ever had super, super strong. At least I can't remember. So that was interesting. I'm like, right. People say, you're not supposed to eat after 6 o'clock or the last meal of the day, or just a lot of stuff with time. And it's time to eat if it looks like this on the clock. And it's not time to eat if it looks like that. just simply noticing. Hi, May. Noticing those kinds of rules. So a great way to work with this and all the rules, our food religion, our rules and regulations, is to see what they are by writing them down. So back to the metaphor with the red light, green light, more wasn't necessary, except for there's different variations of what works for people, like those roundabouts. In our city, as I understand, the roundabout things get put in an intersection when there's an accident first. So an accident needs to happen and get logged, or maybe there's a certain number of accidents that need to happen. Then when the data comes in for that much, they put a roundabout. And it just means, those are those things, it's like a beautiful round circle. They come in different sizes, and it might even have plantings in the middle. But it just means that when you approach the intersection, you actually slow down, and then you have to look around because you're going to drive around it, around the circle. But there is no stopping. So that's an interesting variation on the theme of guidance. So the metaphor breaks down a little bit of just traffic controls, stop signs and going. And the way it works is yes to eat, no to eat, but the metaphor breaks down when you have just, you are the only one in the end responsible. There's no consequences necessarily to other people. Like if somebody runs a red light or a stop sign, it may or may not be okay, but you might actually hurt somebody else, kill somebody else, get in a big accident, whatever. These happen all the time. These things happen. So there aren't necessarily those kinds of consequences, except for you can find the stress in your own heart and your own mind by not listening to the body and making up your rules instead. The head rules, thinking rules about this structure. What's interesting, the strange paradox about eating is that when we've made too many rules, there's too many rules, then that becomes somewhat damaging. It's as if we have the traffic rules that we've got, when to walk and when, basically they're very go now, stop now, even amounts of turns back and forth, depending, no matter what the traffic situation is. It's as if we, like with sort of diet mentality, and when you're allowed to do this and when you're not allowed to do this, like a exchange of a traffic flow would be, say, 15 minutes. You have to wait your turn before the light changes, or longer, right? Diet. And it would stop working. It starts to break down. I mean, you'd have to put in so many, how long it took for you to get from here to here would take a really long time. See if we can find another metaphor with that. Interesting. So yeah, too many rules. Like interesting is that I just thought about train crossings, which not many of us come up against, especially in cities. But when you come to a train crossing, often, oh, look at that. We just happen to be in the timing of when there's a train going by, and you might wait a really long time. And if that was the case, there'd be a bridge built. There are bridges built in Seattle, where I live, in areas where the train can go around or remain going along the coast. And there's quite a few bridges built for that, because there's so much water here. Train can't be built out in the water. It has to stay on the land, but it goes right against the shore. Lots of bridges. So interesting to help and notice that, like I just find it helpful to notice that. It's as if we have made, I don't know, just so many rules or so many buildings that it's like scaffolding all over everything, all over the place. And it's very complicated and complex. And of course, we're missing the message that we have inside the body of whether it's time to eat. So for example, on the inquiry we did recently, it's reminding me because May's here, that there was something about not being able to eat for 3 hours, I think, at night, or a certain time you can't eat after. Well, if the body is hungry, then that's a bit alarming for the body. I mean, if you're actually hungry, that'd be scary. There'd be a scary thing that would get set up. You're sort of missing with that kind of rule what's actually happening physically in the body, and following that is the number one. That's the thing to follow. So, and I know many of us have thought from way back that if I'm following what the body's messages are, it's too confusing and I don't know. But I would question that. I would really question that. Because often the place that it has started for many of us, where we say, I can't trust the body, the messages that I get from the body, can't trust it. Why we have that thought is because the body is not perfect enough. I can't trust what the body is doing because body as it is imperfect. And it needs to be more perfect. It needs to be different than it is. So I'm not going to trust the messages of the body. But you see where that happened. It happened for me at age 14. I look at pictures of myself and I see normal 14-year-old young woman. Normal. So not all of us have had that experience, but sometimes we had it coming at us. There is something wrong with your body from a parent or a person who is sharing with us, and we didn't even know until they said something. It's powerful to see we did not have the stress until it was told to us we are doing something wrong, the body is wrong. So to sit with that awareness and see it, it's like really challenging or questioning the belief that started with there's something wrong with my body, so I can't trust the hunger fullness process. I have to watch out. This can also happen with disease. There's something wrong with the body, like cancer. So that means I was eating the wrong thing. I didn't eat enough broccoli. Because I know broccoli is supposed to be really good for you, or I ate too much of something that's bad for you. That's why I have cancer. But that's very hard, because can you absolutely know that's true? I mean, it's using the sort of information that we have to scare yourself about what it means and what's going to happen. And then beginning to mistrust the access you have for communicating actually with your body. Yeah. So I love May. I tried on a bikini at 12 or 13 and a friend said, your belly looks like someone who's already had a baby. There you go. Isn't that interesting? It's like you even kind of wonder, like my mind even goes like, I wonder why she said that. I wonder what's going on. She had to have known what somebody's belly looks like when they have a baby, maybe. Or someone told her what a belly looks like when they've had a baby, and that it might be something you have to be careful of. I mean, it's interesting to just see who's speaking, where that's coming from. But then we'll just take it. And I definitely just took it right from my mother. She's like, let's go on a diet. We need to go on a diet. And I just completely had enough other evidence, probably just from the environment. Oh yeah, it's really fantastic to be thin. Let's get thinner. My mom would just kind of like grimace with having done that in the past with us together. I was very serious about it though. So I just jumped right in. And I had thought it for quite a while before that even happened about my own body. So yeah, it's just watching this belief. So very powerful to do the work yesterday on I need to lose weight. Thinner is better. And just to keep feeling, who would you be without the thought? What if thinner is not actually better? Can I find some evidence? Can I find some evidence for that? And then what do I have if I'm not trying to get the body to be a certain way? What communication do I have? I have this amazing built-in thing called hunger, like a deep, peaceful way, knowing that it's time to eat. I know that you could get really cosmic about it and say, how do I even know I am actually hungry or not? Like, the connection between body and mind, or how do I even know if I'm full, or could I question that? I just see that as sort of the wide gray area. It's kind of like the same thing with when we have to go to the bathroom. You can hold it for an amazingly long period of time, or if something big happens, or a conversation, or somebody knocks on the door when you were on the way to the bathroom, you can wind up having a conversation for like 20 minutes and not have to go. Like, it's amazing how much middle area and flowy kind of non-clear boundaries there are in a sort of beautiful way that this can be dropped, like the critical need to have something happen immediately, unless it is happening quickly and meet them. Then maybe there comes a point when you just absolutely have to go to the bathroom. Then is when it happens. But there's lots of thought about that you need to before you ever do, sometimes, depending on the situation. We've all had that experience of holding it, when we're somewhere where there isn't a toilet. Isn't that funny? And you just do it. So that open space of being with the body and its own signals, it just gets very covered up by all these rules. But it has to start with the idea that I can't trust the body as it is. So that is a really interesting thing to be aware of and notice. This body as it is just not okay, or doesn't give me enough information, isn't right. And so I have to treat it like it's the enemy. I can't trust it. I have to treat it like it's the enemy and start to do something about it, solve the problem, limit the food, manage the food, have only certain things on the good list and other things are on the bad list, and do it out of, kind of a fearful place. So who would we be without that story? You might still not eat certain things. Isn't that amazing? You might still add certain things. I love salad. Oh my gosh. Salads, they're amazing. So many different combinations. But it's because it's just so delicious. That's very different than I should be eating it. I also particularly I don't have diabetes and nothing seems to happen that is like physically an ailment with eating desserts. I love desserts. It's so much fun to be with desserts, and that doesn't mean everyone should eat them. That's why we don't talk about what you specifically are eating in eating peace or not, because different bodies have different needs and different reactions. So you have to get in touch with your own wisdom on it. But it's feels wonderful to be in touch. So I'd say, just still unlearning, questioning the things that you think are supposed to be the way it is for you to be safe. It isn't even a question in some ways with this work. In order for me to be happy, it's what do I do? What do I think is required for safety? And what's missing? I have something's missing here, we'll say. I like to see it as there's too much of something, too much thinking, too many rules, too much maybe not listening to this body, but because we haven't trusted it. So, a lot of compassion for yourself. You're not doing it wrong. In fact, everything you're doing is added up together perfectly as a response to hearing all this from the outside world and having proof that, your body needs to be thin. You better do it right. Or that you're going to die if you eat these certain things. So just taking a deep breath of relaxation about that. Who would we be without the story? And then really sitting with the turnaround. Like, let's just spend much longer with the turnarounds. I don't need to lose weight. That's what we began to do in yesterday's inquiry, which was just phenomenal. I found that very powerful. Staying with it. I do not need to lose weight. Finding your proof of that. Let's find proof there, because we found lots of proof for the other. And people might have even said so and acted like it was true over and over again, or rejected you. So let's go to the situations, maybe the top 5 situations, like the bikini moment, May, and see right in there, I do not need to have a different stomach. I need to be just this way right now in that moment. It's okay to be the way I am. Can I find my evidence, really solid evidence, like not just wishful thinking evidence, but how do I know it's true, that it's okay the way it was in that moment, and my body's actually just fine the way it is now. It's even good that it's the way it was in that moment. It's so strange. And good in a stress-free way. How is it okay that it's just the way it is in these different moments, or that I do not need to lose weight? I do not need to change something. How was it not a criticism in that situation? Thinking in this moment of long ago, being on a date. It was the most amazing. Everyone always does an in-breath of gasping, so I don't always usually use this as an example. Maybe I'll share it today more publicly, but I'm sitting on a date. We've been there for a while. We've had just a few dates. We don't know each other extremely well, but I'm interested in this man. He comes back from like getting a refill of coffee or something, and comes back to sit at the table and says, I have to tell you something. You are absolutely not my type. It was like somebody punched me in the stomach. But it was the most amazing thing to go back to and do the work on. He said a few more things. I mean, you would consider that very bold, and people would agree with me. So rude, so shocking. It was amazing. It showed me who not to be with, but it also, I saw in it the terror of being told such a thing about my body and what it meant. Everything came piling in about what it meant for somebody to say, you are not my type. That means I am rejected. That means I'm abandoned. I'm alone. I'm ugly. I'm unwanted. I'm the one worthy of being abandoned and rejected. I am unwantable. I mean, it was all there in an instant. Amazing. Just amazing. And then the defense that comes in, and other people agreeing with me about what a jerk that person was. I can't believe he would say such a thing. And somebody said that to you once. How could they? And it was amazing that they said it to me, because I got so much immediate work out of that. It was just astonishing. To go back and look at that situation and be sitting in the work on that. How was it a good thing that it was said? It just showed me who not to be with, and it showed me that I don't have to be everyone's type, and that I am my own type. That it's like brilliant that I am like this. And it's perfect not to be with somebody who would be disturbed by that. I had been disturbed for years before that. Maybe not that many years, but enough. because at the time, a bit younger. Um, yeah, whose mind was saying it was just the same thing I'd already told myself. So I just found this amazing thing to hear it out loud said and be able to find the turnaround. It's totally fantastic. This is being said. Good that I know. And there's not all these underlying subtle things. And I can feel the love of being my own type, just right for me. Just showing, universe showing me where I need to move, that way or this way. It turns out not that way. And perfect that I met it up until that moment, and then not that way. No need to be rescued, no need to be assured by anyone else. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful. And so only the mind was just so freaked out about that. So that's our work. That's our work. It continues to be the work. So I may not be able to find much at all when it comes to these days. I need to might lose weight or do something with weight or food, but I can find little things about healthiness happening sometimes, or aging. You know, oh no, here we go into old age. Death is coming. I can find that, and it's wonderful to get. It's wonderful to sit there with the work on it. It's the same exact thing, just to trust, open hands, not these closed fists with lots of rules. So I hope that helps today, everybody. Wonderful to be with you all, as always. Lots of love. Love your questions. Lots of love.